If you could make 2 or 3 dramatic changes within your church, and I'm thinking here changes related to the liturgy or to the organizational structure or any other arena that you want to put on the table, what would those changes be?
I think that the number one change that I would make, it would more than a change, it would be sort of a direction, would be to come up with a mission statement. I think as an Armenian church, we don't have a mission statement that is agreed upon by all groups, by the clergy, by the hierarchs, and by the people. I think the Armenian Church right now, Apostolic Church, it has a mission statement. It's very clear in my head. It's to continue the work of Jesus Christ in the apostolic manner. But I don't think that I could get enough people to buy into that. And I'm talking about the hierarchs and the other clergy. Number 2, organizationally, to be able to stop building structures and start building inner churches. Armenians, again, because of backlash, genocide, we love the structures because those were the things that crumbled. We love to have our names and big structures, but we're not putting enough money into programs that outreach to the people. And we don't have the resources, and there are government resources, but we're not able to tap into those because we're not confident in ourselves. So I think that's number 2, to change the focus there too, and focus on inner church. Number 3, I think it's the big change would be to make it mandatory that anybody who serves within the church be a believer, to have at least the basic belief that God exists and Jesus Christ is the manifestation of God. Without that, I think all of this, you can't have an Armenian church just with Armenians. They have to be Armenian church, Armenian Christians. Once they have that belief, then everything else falls into place. Because there isn't enough you can do when you realize that that's the center of your church. Then you start working, you start giving of yourself.
What is the connection, in your view, between Armenian identity, being an Armenian, and being a Christian?
This is very, very personal. It's I would say it's one and the same. I don't think you can be an Armenian without being a Christian. I don't think you can be an Armenian that is not a Christian. It just doesn't make sense. This is purely personal. I know that there's millions of people that will argue against that, but I certainly believe this, because what we are as Armenian today is because of our Christian, specifically Armenian Church background. It's the way that we have interpreted ourselves, even to the extent that we've even co-opted the Old Testament, right? We've even put the Garden of Eden is in Armenia, Noah's Ark lands on Ararat in Armenia, the kids come out, the first cradle of civilization is Armenian, and then the first Christian nation, and we developed our whole history. Moses of Herein wrote his history based on the Judeo-Christian traditions, and who we are, our prayer life, our being, the idea that we survived, that Turks tried to kill us and crucified us. There's only one other image in history that matches ours. It's not the Jewish experience of Nazi Germany, but it's the one experience of a helpless person going up on a cross and being nailed. The Armenian people, it's the Jesus experience. And you can't separate them. To be Armenian means you are also Christian. But that is a loaded statement, and I understand that too. So, with those explanations taken.
In this project, Greg and I are interviewing Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, Protestants, Catholics, and now you. What does your tradition, by this I mean the apostolic tradition, what does it contribute to this notion of spirituality and social justice?
Good one, okay. What it contributes is that apostolic tradition is, here's a church that has a link. Is that okay?
I think it's okay because we have two mics. I'm sure it's blasting Greg out on in your right ear, but the left one
is fine.
Is
No,
okay.
there was somebody dragging something. That's
I think we're okay.
Okay. Let me start with that one again, okay?
Okay.
The apostolic tradition, I think the beauty of it is by virtue of its name, apostolic. We can trace ourselves all the way back to the time of Christ. To be an apostolic church doesn't necessarily mean that, yes, in our case, 2 of the apostles came to Armenia and established the Church of Christ there 2,000 years ago. But even more, we are continuing the apostolic tradition. And that means that for 500 years, before the entire Christian church didn't even have a Bible, we were still around. Before there was a Bible, the apostolic tradition, the oral traditions, the actual social work. Look at the early Christian church. What we know of the first churches, they were social institutions. Why was St. Paul in his writings to the different communities? What was he addressing? Social issues. If you're not married, stay this way. The end is coming. Take care of your poor. Don't gossip. All of these social conditions existed then. And we, as an apostolic tradition, tap right into that. Not secondhand, but we were there. And you go through the writings of the church, the apostolic church, you find that all of our church fathers, in that time, it was just fathers, no mothers, were right in line with that. Is this idea of going out and servicing the community. Going out, servicing the community and serving people. Why? For one reason, because Christ served us. He got down on his knees and washed our feet. We have this obligation to go out and wash others' feet. And this is, I think, something that we as an apostolic church, if we could break out of our Armenian ghetto, have to offer to the rest of the world religions. The idea of service in the way that Jesus had intended. Yeah.